I was deafened the whole time. But anyway, uh, hey, what's up, everybody? It's me and Jax here.
Welcome, Drew Lift.
So yeah, we're running Moogle's first tournament C today, and running will be Jax Frock, and I will be on the commentary. Jax Frocks, if you want to take it away.
Okay. I'm assuming our audio just went live.
Yes, we are live now. We can just start like normal.
Okay. Well, everybody, welcome to Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. Once again, Drulith and I will be doing a showcase run of Moogle's first tournament Flagset. We will be going over different strategies, some menuing stuff, and all kinds of fun little things to help along some of the new players on what Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide is about, and also being able to run seeds a little bit more efficiently, routing, little tricks, some minor glitches if they come up, things that you can do to help make your run go a bit smoother. So, we're going to start with configuration right out of the gate. Drulith, you got anything to add?
Get in the habit of playing with memory cursor, or as early as possible. All right. Some people never break the habit. I think memory cursor is overpowered. But you know, to each their own. Though, if you're more comfortable without it, then fair enough. But I think memory cursor is got more advantages than non-memory cursor. But I think battle speed should always be 6 as well, because it's basically just a difficulty slider.
Yeah, well, battle speed 6 speeds up the ATB counter, if I remember correctly, yes?
So what it does is it'll change the speed at which the enemies gain their ATB. So lower numbers will be faster ATB gain for enemies only, though. Your party will not benefit from that. So we just shove that all the way down to 6, so the enemies move way slower.
Yep, and then we move message speed to 1, so that way the text boxes go through a little bit faster.
Yeah, just, you know, saves time, just strict time save there with the text boxes.
No.
So yeah, that's correct, Schwan. So we wanted, by default, battle speed 6, message speed 1, and cursor memory. Cursor memory may be a preference thing. I just think it's like generally better. And if you're forming new habits, I'd say get in the habit of using it.
Agreed. Now there are some of the top runners that don't use memory cursor. Zelfer, I'm singling you out. Yes, you know who you are. He does like to do the reset cursor, and he still gets crazy good times.
So we got a question from Double Down, which I'm pretty sure is a joke. How much of a time increase is Windows Style 8? I believe that is the Chocobo, and that is a 30-minute time save, my friend. Demon Chocobo will bless your run with RNG for the next 10 seeds you play every time you use it.
I will save everybody's eyesight by not doing Demon Chocobo today.
So yeah, Jack's playing on hard mode by not using Windows 8.
So, down here in the configuration, something that I like to do, Magic Order. It automatically starts on Magic Order 1, which goes in healing in order of the menu for in battles. It goes healing, attack, effect. So, me personally, like to go to number 3. Sometimes I'll do 4, depending on how I'm feeling. Because primarily, majority of the time when I am using magic in battle, I am usually going for attack spells. If it's to the top of the menu, it's going to be easier to get access to. So that is a personal preference of mine. All right, so let's go into flags. Unless Drew, you got anything to add about the magic order?
No, I think that magic order is all preference. I just keep it default because I'm what I'm used to. Yeah, attacking is what you mostly do, but just knowing where the spells are in general is going to be the best for you, because you will be mixing it up between all 3 types depending on the situation.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna roll through the flags real fast on what the Moogle's first tournament flag set. I may go into I'll go into detail on some of the more important flags. So, right out of the gate, we have character gating. That means checks are based on the characters you have available that you could put into your party. So, say you have Shadow or Cyan available. You can access specific checks that deal with that character. So that would be the World of Ruin Velt Cave for Shadow, or the Floating Continent you would have access to in regards to Shadow, or Doma Castle, World of Ruin, or Cyan Stream.
Yeah, so
World of Ruin.
For character gating, if you want to look at the tracker at the top right, the emo tracker is the one we went with today, that variant. So you'll notice that like these characters, they'll have like a colored row of glyphs, and each of these glyphs correspond to a check. So for Terra, these 5 checks I'm lighting up right now, this would be the checks that she gates. So this Ultros here is meant to represent Elite River, I believe.
Yes.
Madeline here, he represents... I'm actually not sure. Is that Sealed Gate?
Sealed Gate.
Yeah, I don't use the emo tracker one much, but it is a very popular one to use. I'm just different. Welk is obviously the Welk check down in Marsh. Not Marsh. Ramu's gonna be Zozo, and this Fun Baba's gonna be Mobile's World of Ruin. So you can't go to these 5 checks without Terra, and that's what the character gating mode is.
Alright, from there, we have starting party, we have 3 random characters. So we won't know who we have until we actually start the run. Characters, so characters, when we acquire a new character, they will start the average level. Characters will start with equipment. Usually they're starting equipment, so like Celeste would start with, what, like a plumed hat? Something silly. Shadow will have this ninja gear and Imperial, I think. Go-Go will have like a mithril set.
Yeah. So one thing to note about the start equipment is having anything is way better than having nothing in this game. So like even the low level stuff's actually pretty it's like so much better than having nothing. So it is pretty good to have that starting equipment, especially for Umaro, if you want to talk about equipable Umaro.
Yes. Starting with Umaro is amazing because he automatically comes with a Bone Club and, of course, the Snow Muffler, which is the highest defense item in the game. Plus, it absorbs ice magic. Really, really handy, especially if a character other than Umaro can equip it. So, character stats, they will start from their original starting stats up to 25% increase, or 125% of their original starting stats.
Yeah, this is, well, on the starting stats, so this is kind of different for the MFT. This is one of the flags that's been adjusted to be more tailored towards newer players, because in our standard flags, or the Ultros League, it can actually dip down below the normal amount, but here it's only going to be better than vanilla, so you can more easily plan which characters are going to be better, because you can count on them having at least a certain amount of magic. Like Realm will always have at least 44, for example, which is going to be pretty significant, I feel.
Yes, and if Realm gets that 25% increase to her natural magic, ooh, that's big.
Absolutely.
So, Sword Techs. Only the person with Sword Tech can learn Sword Tech. The counter for Sword Tech, when you select the command, it actually fills up faster than what vanilla is, which is really handy. That is a nice feature to Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. Blitzes. Bum Rush last. So we have to learn all the blitzes before we can go to Duncan's house to learn Bum Rush, which means we have to reach level 42. That is something that was added, so to make things a little bit more challenging for the average runner of the game. Starting lures, we start with 5 to 8 lures with a MP cost variation, 75% to 125% of their original start. And if you run across a lure during a battle, you are automatically going to learn it, which is very useful. Rages, we start with 15 to 30 random rages. It could be literally anything. We could have Doom Dragons, Mover, Parasite, or Toe Cutter, some really strong rages to start with, which can actually carry your early game pretty far into the seed. Also, on top of that, rages, you don't have to go to the Veld to learn the rage. You automatically learn rages by just fighting the enemies, which is also a really nice feature.
Yeah, and you can run from them too. You don't have to actually beat them. If you encounter them at all, you'll learn the rage.
Exactly. So really useful to even just to get into a battle and run away. So, starting dance, we start with one random dance. The abilities are actually shuffled on the dance, so you can actually get some really strong stuff with dances, just like the starting rages. Another really nice thing is you can go into the menu and see what abilities are available on the dances, so you don't have to just blind guess. You do not automatically stumble anymore. You actually automatically the no stumble, true. You will automatically get into dance mode, which is also really useful. Obviously, everybody learns the dance, false. So that means you have to have the dance command on a character and then go into the battle to get the dance. We have a higher steal chance, so things are a little bit easier to steal. I'm not exactly sure what the changes were to make it a higher, quote-unquote, higher steal chance.
I believe it is
something with the throwing that's changed.
I believe it would be the normal chance to steal just multiplied by 2. I think that's how they went about it, but I'm not 100% sure. So if you had like a 20% chance to steal, you now have a 40%.
Yep. Commands? Alright. Excuse me. So, commands, random unique. So we will not have any duplicate commands on any of the characters. And on top of it, random exclude. So that means there are some other commands that are actually included. So not only do we have the vanilla commands from all the characters in there, we also have access to Shock, M-Tech, and X-Magic. They could show up on a character.
Yeah, so I'd like to talk a little bit about Shock and M-Tech. These are 2 commands that you will not find on the Ultros League Flagset, and the reason for that is because they are very centralizing. So if you are running the Moogle's first tournament, if you see Shock or M-Tech, I highly advise just abusing it to its fullest extent. They are extremely powerful. They deal non-elemental damage and pretty good amounts of it too. Shock's AoE, M-Tech will do Tech Missile, which is single target, but it ignores defense. Both really good, and M-Tech actually gives a lot of added utility too, so be on the lookout for those commands.
Yes, M-Tech has the muddle status, so if you have M-Tech, you can go romping through Monster in the Boxes, find Katana Soul, confuse him, and let him kill himself. Who knows, we may even see that today. Also, you have Xfer, so that is handy on enemies that are weak to death magic. I will even use it on the long arm in the final Kefka fight if I have it available. It will connect. I'm not. Does it connect on tools? I never tried.
Which one?
Xfer.
Xfer will defeat tools, correct.
So, moving along. Experience points, magic points, and gold. So, experience multiplier times 3, magic points, there's a 5 times multiplier, and there's a 5 times 2 gold. No experience party divide, true. So, in the vanilla, usually when you go through battles and whatnot, experience points from a monster is divided amongst the party. With this flag on, that is no longer the case. So it actually helps you level up a little bit faster. Scaling. So level scaling, this is the enemy levels. It is based on the amount of characters that we have, the amount of Espers that we have, and the amount of dragons we have defeated. And for each one we collect or kill, it goes up by a multiple of 2. Same thing with enemy hit points and magic points. And on top of it, we have experience points and gold. This is another multiplier to increase the experience points and gold. And it's at 2.5. And unlike the Ultras League flags, it is set at 2. Here, for Moogle's first tournament, it's set up 2.5, so you will actually quite easily be ahead of enemy levels, which is also very useful. Ability element with an ability factor of 2. I need to pull up the sheet for it, or I would have to actually open up the website and mess around with the flag to work out on the scaling, but I believe by level somewhere in the 30s they will reach their maximum magic damage potential, is what I remember of it.
Yeah,
Max
so
scale. Oh, go ahead.
So the main thing with the ability scaling that you'll want to know with element is that bosses won't use the abilities they'll use normally. They'll scale usually down because a lot of enemies are late game bosses that use the big magic spells. But what this does is it makes it so like Magimaster, if you find him early on, instead of casting Fire 3, he'll cast like Fire. But it has one downside too, is that you can't just use Wall Rings or Runic to get through fights that you normally could in vanilla. You'll have to make do without it. Oh, sorry, Schwantz, I'll stop doing that.
Good job. All right. So so enemies maximum level is 40. So once the enemies from the level scaling, HP, MP scaling, once we hit a total of 20, and once we go beyond it, they will not scale above level 40. On top of that, scaled dragons. So the 8 dragons are scaled. That means they are not going to be as tough as you think they are, which is actually really useful early seed. They are good experience points. They also give top tier equipment that you can use later on in the seed. Not only do they give their vanilla drop when you do kill them, they also give an additional top tier item once you get out of the battle. So fighting dragons is actually very, very useful. I usually attempt to take on 2, maybe 3 dragons, depending on how I'm feeling in regards to equipment and my magic throughout the seed. Final Kefka is unscaled. So this is a vanilla Kefka fight. So the usual strategies to take on Kefka apply. So using death magic on long arm and tools, using mute on magic, their usual weaknesses apply. They also cast their usual spells and hit for their usual amounts of damage regarding the equipment that you have and all that fun stuff. Bosses! So all the bosses are shuffled, so I could find Magi Master at the Welk check if things happen, or spicy chicken with searching the skies. Who knows? We will find out when we roll through this seed. Fumbaba 3 is not mixed in, which is a good thing. Seeing that it's not turned on at this moment in time, I will not go into it, just to save us a little bit of time. Same thing with Normalize and Distort, we're not going to go into that. Bosses, so in vanilla, bosses do not give experience points. In Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, boss experience true. Bosses now give experience points. This will help you level up and move things along a little bit quicker. No undead, false. So for the Ultras League, this is turned on. So things like Part 2 of Senior Behemoth, who you normally could revivify, or the Ghost Train that you could just drop a Phoenix down on and just instantly kill them. That no longer applies, but you can still cast Doom on them, or does Break count as a death spell?
It's its own separate category of spells. For Petrify, I believe it only works on a few bosses. I don't think that Doom Train's one of them. I could be wrong on that though.
Fair enough, but also like MTech Xfer, that would also work on the train. All right, moving along. Encounters are shuffled. Fixed encounters are random, so we could run into, say, level 80 magic in the Serpent's Trench, or Reach Frogs on the minecart ride. Let me see. Doom Gaze will no longer run away from us. Rexol does not cast Zinger. Magi Master does not death counter with Ultima, which is also very nice. Otherwise, it would just make things very unpleasant for doing these runs. Chatternook will be in his demon form more often, which is also really nice, because otherwise, you're sitting around for a couple minutes waiting for, the painting side of Chatternook, just waiting for it to transfer over to the demon so you can start whacking away at it to deal damage. Espers will have 1 to 5 random spells. Their bonuses will be random, and Espers have an 80% chance to have a bonus on it. Espers will have an MP cost of 75 to 125% of their original, all equipable, and this is also something that belongs to Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. You are able to summon, use the Espers multiple times during a battle. So if you find, say, Fenrir or Bahamut, very, very useful. Finding Bahamut early seed is practically like finding the Ultima spell, and just roll with it. Get yourself a gold hairpin or economizer and an earring and just go to town with it. And then, of course, if you're using gold earring, once you hit the later levels, you can always pop off the gold earring, throw on a second, or gold hairpin, throw on a second earring, and just increase your damage potential. 2 random characters will have natural magic. You start with 5,000 gold, 3 Moogle charms, 3 warp stones, 3 phoenix downs, and a tools. Now, the 3 starting Moogle charms, all characters are able to equip a Moogle charm, so that will help you avoid random encounters. Equipment. Your equipment and relics. Each character is able to equip their original equipment and their original relics, plus an additional 33% random items. Curse Shield is no longer the 255 battles to unlock the Paladin Shield. It is now 1 to 16 battles. Once you pick up the Curse Shield, a text box will appear and tell you how many battles you need to do to unlock it. Now, most of the high tier runners, if it's sitting in double digits, will usually end up ignoring it. I usually cap myself off at, say, 11 battles to unlock a Curse Shield. shops are shuffled with a 35% randomness to it. So you could find Illuminas, Ragnaroks, muscle belts, all kinds of fun, funky stuff can show up in the shops now. And they also have a price variation from 75 to 125% of their original sell fraction half. 5 shops will now have dried meat rather than just the one original, because the dried meat now gets shuffled around. No priceless items. So things like the Ragnarok and Illumina, they're going to have a high price tag. If this was turned off, they would be dirt cheap. You can find rods, elemental shields, super balls, experience eggs, and Illuminas inside the shops. Chests are shuffled with a 35% random, and the monster in the boxes are now shuffled. So you can find pugs in, say, the beginner's house. Or Gigantos could be down in Katana's soul spot. You never know, you just gotta crack it open and hope for the best, if you're looking for something specific. Colosseum, one of my favorite ones. I may make a trip over to the Colosseum to show you what's going on here. So the opponents are random, the rewards are now random, and we now can view 75 to 128 items of the entire item pool for the Colosseum, which is very useful in determining what you want to throw in. You can predetermine, say, trade in a tonic and you're getting an elemental shield for it.
Yeah.
So
this reward's visible amount is actually extremely high compared to like normal flag sets. I think that Colosseum for MFT could be a really big X factor for a lot of runners, so that's something to maybe experiment with and see if you like or not.
And on top of it, we can find EXP eggs and Illuminas. They were not turned off. Auction house. Auction house is auction house. There can be high tier items. There can be up to 2 Espers in the auction house, or it can end up being a dead check. You can also go to the doorman of the auction house, talk to him, and he will say glowing stones still available. And that way you will know if there is an Esper there or not. Challenges. We will not find Moogle charms in shops or chests. No free Paladin Shields Ultima is learnable. Okay, I did not realize that one was on. So that is actually very, very handy. Learning the Ultima spell, that will help you go definitely on the fast side. Let me see. No major glitches going on here, so we don't have to go through that. And then auto sprint, original name display, random RNG. Let's see. Event timers original, YMPC none, remove flashes original. Alright, so we don't have to worry about any of that. Objectives. For this seed, we need to unlock the final Kefka fight. We have to find 6 characters, 9 Espers. If we want to unlock the KT skip, we only have to find an additional 3 characters or an additional 3 Espers. We get a high tier item for performing in the opera. We get a high tier item for suplexing the train that requires us to have blitzed out. Or we get a high tier item for saving or killing Sid. It is actually faster to save Sid. So that is something to consider if we are starved for good gear, because you never know what you're going to get.
I like to think that these bonus objectives here are to reward memeing, and I'm all for it.
I agree. Especially the save and kill Sid. That's always a fun one. Alright. So, I guess we're going to get started shortly. Drew, if you want to take over on what I am doing, and I will just jump in and explain things here and there on some of my strats, if I deem necessary, or expand upon your thoughts. Okay?
Sure. Sounds good. Let me know when you're ready to start, and we can get going. I'll start the timer, and I'll also be tracking here, so
Give me a countdown.
All right, we will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so first thing we need to take note of are the starting characters. Looks like we got Locke, Strago, and Mog. So already, we were gonna want to check their commands too, but we need to make a lot of decisions right at the start here about how we're gonna play this seed. And I note, so here in this situation, the big thing I notice is Locke. He's got a lot of free progression, and I'm going to be like, well, what I would be doing is thinking about whether or not I'm going to take advantage of that super early on and kind of weigh the risks of that based on the starting commands. I was not able to see the starting commands, but
we had rage and slots.
Rage and slots. So with slots, my thought process definitely would be to make full use of that slots command.
Ooh, that's a hard choice. Cat hood.
Yeah, so we're going to get that cat hood. So this is the weapon shop check. It's a freebie. You can just come here whenever. And we went with the cat hood. I agree with this choice. Cat hood's great to have from the very start because you'll get double GP just by having it equipped on anyone. But it only counts for one character. So if you have 2 cat hoods, it won't quadruple it, for example. So yeah, we're going with the free progression here. It's actually it's kind of a shame we didn't get that Magicite, but at the same time we did get a free item without it adjusting the scaling at all, so it's kind of a neutral outcome in my opinion on that. So it doesn't hurt us.
Top tier item.
But yeah, well, that is one thing really early on that we're going to want to keep in mind is how or what level are we compared to the enemies. And it's most delicate early on because when we're level 3 we're quite weak, but if we are able to get up to like even just level 10 we're so much stronger. So we're going to scout this box here, and it's Pugs. Pugs is something that we can maybe defeat later or steal from to get some Minervas, but it takes a little bit of luck, a little bit of time too. But Minervas are definitely worth it if you can get them and work it in efficiently.
To the World of Ruin. Or World of Balance, actually. Sorry.
Yeah, so another thing that's we're going to be on our mind early on is experience points. And we're going to be thinking about the best way to get that experience points without slowing us down too much. And the most common answer for that will be the fixed encounter checks. We may be thinking about Burning House. It's not the most desirable check. It's, in fact, a lot of people would rate it one of the worst in the game in terms of efficiency and risk. But it may be something we're interested in doing anyways, just for the experience that we can get. But we still have a lot of options on the table.
With the commands that we have available, Burning House is definitely on the table.
Yeah, the slots makes it way more appetizing, if you will.
Exactly. Same with tools.
So the reason we've come to returners here is because we want to get some early game money and just whatever equipment we happen to find that's going to help carry us later on. And so we're just going to probably be selling most of what we find to buy those starting consumables. Always stock up on these consumables if you can. It's even like buy more than you think you'll use, because you never know what situation you're going to find yourself in later. So just having an excessive amount is just going to help you out. And potions especially are quite good in the early stages. The 250 HP heals is enough to fully heal characters like up to like level 12 probably. So it's just really good. Really cheap healing there. And you can use them outside of battle too, just to cap everybody off at fixed encounters in between battles.
Yeah, one of the other big items that I like to get a good chunk amount of is sleeping bags. That way they are a nice quick heal. They are faster than tents to get your party healed up. Although if your character is unconscious, you do have to do a little bit more menuing and use a Phoenix down to revive them.
Also, I missed this a little bit
But-
earlier, but thank you for the Prime sub, Randomly Angry.
Thank you, Angry.
So yeah, we're so the locations that Jex is going are chosen due to their high treasure density. South Figaro is a very common early game town to check just because of all the treasure out in the open in town, and then 4 shops, but also you can go into the basement for like way more treasure, and the time per treasure chest here is extremely low, so you can rather efficiently check this place and perhaps not really have it bite you for taking too long while still gaining like lots of power, which can potentially
Lots of
save time
power.
later.
It is South Figaro is definitely a very useful check, and it is much more appetizing if you have Celeste in your starting party, because
Yeah.
she actually has a check down here.
Yeah, it would just make it a little bit more efficient, but it's still so good to do even without Cellas, honestly. Because even if you find Cellas later, double dipping in here isn't the worst thing. It takes like maybe like a little less than a minute or like around that time.
I believe once you acquire the check, it takes 22 seconds to get out without checking any chests. As for getting to the check, I actually do not know what the time is, but I think overall it probably takes just under a minute, or very close to it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of chests you may not have known about during your vanilla playthrough here in South Figaro. Like I never knew about this room, for example, off to the side, but there are 3 additional treasure chests here. There's also like a secret jail cell room, like kind of right next to where Cella's is, that contain 2 more chests. So knowing about these, secret chests could make all the difference, because there could be a big item there, and all of the, seasoned runners will know about these rooms. So it's good to learn all the treasure locations in these treasure dense areas at the very least. So he's gonna move. He's gonna travel on the overworld to where the World of Ruin variant of South Figaro is, to avoid the Search the Skies encounter. And we're gonna do the same exact thing, but in World of Ruin. We do have the basement checked already, so this is gonna be a much quicker stop. But here in World of Ruin, you can grab all these treasures again, just due to special mechanics. In Vanilla, you'd only be able to get them once, but here in Worlds Collide, you can actually get them in both worlds.
Oh, so one of the things with these shop checks, one of the big things I always keep an eye out for is earrings. Ooh, money. That's always good. Earrings is 25% boost to your magic. It's really, really good.
And you can pair 2 of them for a 50% boost. I actually think it's more than that, because I think it's multiplicative, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, it's just a lot more damage. And they're relatively cheap, earrings are. So yeah, an early game strategy is to just pick up those earrings, like especially since we have slots. It's just going to be straight up extra damage. It may make some encounters that were 2 turns, 1 turn. It could make, it can save countless turns on boss battles. So, so that we want them as early as possible, basically, because it'll maximize the effectiveness we get out of them.
So, we found some very useful stuff for Mog. We found an air anchor, a noise blaster, and flash all in the same shop.
Yeah.
So we can actually gear up Mog for magic damage.
That's actually the dream setup right there. Those are probably the 3 best tools you could want. Flash for the random encounters, air anchor for instant death, and noise blaster to hit muddle on some troublesome enemies like Katana Soul. So, pretty awesome shop there for tools.
So, Drew, from here... Oh, wait, I remember. So from here, I haven't found earrings yet. I still have shop checks and a little bit more item-dense areas to go. So I haven't found earrings yet, but seeing that we have Mog only has one check, and it is Lone Wolf. So this, if I have Mog in the party, I always activate Lone Wolf, because I can't tell you how many times in the past I have forgotten to activate Lone Wolf, gone up to the check just to have to double dip again.
Yeah, we've all done it, I feel like. If you've been playing the game a while, we've all forgot to activate Lone Wolf. Have to take that walk of shame back down the mountain. It can be pretty easy to forget when you're in the zone thinking about other stuff, but, you know, it is a part of the game, and saving that treasure room for the Mog check can help you remember. Because I often like to just do that treasure room in World of Ruin when I have lock, because I tend to put the Lone Wolf check on the back burner, but you know, doing it early has also got its merits. So
all right, now we are going back to selling useless stuff.
I'm surprised you sold your tax stars.
I just sold the curse shield by accident.
Well, that's okay. We probably didn't need it.
Guess what? Changing plans. It's gonna happen. Actually, the Blizzorb is worth holding on to. Especially if you need like some kind of elemental protection, the Blizzorb is definitely worth holding on to.
Yeah, that's a good point, Spoon. Chaining checks together can be really good. If I come up to Lone Wolf, I'll probably be thinking about doing Kefka and Narsh, for example. And we could probably get away with it here even, because we do have good starting commands. 2-character party would be a little bit tougher, but it's still doable. And, you know, it's going to mostly be based on the boss we find or the encounters beforehand.
No earrings. We do have a hero ring, though. So I'm going to do one more shop check. Because with the commands we have, we really need hero rings. Actually, we can chain 3 quick ones together. Plus, we can also check here if the auction house has stuff. And also looking for magic boosting equipment. Circlets. Yeah, we can grab a couple of those.
Do circlets give magic?
Excuse me?
I'm not sure if circlets give magic, but maybe they do.
They give about 3 points of magic.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah. Plus their defensive stats are a little bit better than. Here we are.
All right, I finally found those earrings.
What we were looking for. We are in business.
Yeah, so that's gonna add a lot of safety for us and just potentially speed things up a bunch. Because the faster things die, the less attacks you're going to deal with.
Let's see. Earring.
Oh, plus 4 magic power on Circlet. That's actually really good. It's like Mystery Veil, Mark II.
And we now know we got Espers here at the auction house. So you mentioned doing the Lone Wolf check nice and early because it's free and we got a grind spot right afterwards. I agree with you, so we're gonna roll on up. Actually, safety save just in case.
Yeah, so Lone Wolf, we're going to be able to get the freebie there, and then we can try Kefka and Narsh. What we're going to be looking to do is take on some of the soldiers there to hope there's something we can kill easily for fast XP. And we'll actually get a bit of GP out of it too, hopefully with the double GP from Cat Hood. It's going to be a little risky with the 2-character party. But you know, sometimes you just gotta take those risks. Yeah, I like the idea here too. This Dante is actually you can use Revivify on to instantly defeat it. Looking at our rages, we also have Luridin, which is an insanely good rage.
Brain Pan is great early. What else do we have?
We have Didalos, which is Marathon, so if you're looking to end your party's life early on, that's a great way to do it.
I guess we'll go Luridin.
Yeah, Dante is an undead enemy, if you didn't know. I don't know if we have Revivifies, but that'd also be another solution to this fight to get some early XP.
And we just picked up Ice 3.
Yeah, Ice 3.
Natural Magic.
Tier 3 spells in this game, just so good.
Yeah, getting Ice 3 was pretty big.
So yeah, pretty great rage list. Pretty powerful party all around, I'd say. And feeling pretty good about this start.
Good EXP fight, good money.
Yeah, these enemies that appear in World of Ruin, those are pretty much what you're looking for in terms of XP, since they just grant way more than the World of Balance enemies do. But there are some good World of Balance enemies. Okay, so now we're level 9 before the check even begins, and we're going to be able to heal beforehand too. There's a save point up here at the top. So I don't think we'll have too much problems unless it's one of the like scary bosses. So yeah, pretty good start overall. We got just about everything we want, and I think we'll be able to progress through the seed pretty smoothly.
We are hoping for a character here.
Alright, we found Mr. Gao.
Alright.
So Gao is special in Worlds Collide because his leap command is no longer necessary. We decided to shuffle that command as well, meaning he gets 2 commands. However, he does not get a fight command, which ends up being more annoying more often than you think. But he can have some pretty cool combinations of commands. So he's kind of a fun character to use. This one's got Throw and Blitz. Wow. Good
Gao
magic
is broken
too.
Today. Sorry, Mog, you are getting thrown on the back burner.
So, Throw is kind of like the best command if Shock and Imtech aren't in the game. It just outputs really good damage early on, and then later on, it's you can start throwing shurikens for the physical damage, and because of the way the level and damage formulas work, it ends up becoming a good damage option for late game too. So you kind of transition. You use the Skeens early on, and then you use the shurikens later on. But sometimes if you get the magic power bonuses on the Esper, you can just keep using the Skeens as well. So it's pretty flexible, hits multiple elements. Just great command all around. Probably a little bit outclassed by Imtech in this flag set, but still great to see.
Sorry, Mog. You lose.
Yeah, and Schwantz brings up a good point. The physical throws, so like shurikens or weapons, they are unblockable, and they ignore defense, can't miss, can full damage from back row, just everything you want out of a command, really.
Unfortunately, we don't have much in the lines of throwing weapons at the moment, but that's what grinding is for.
More crawlers. Great early encounters for us. I like seeing the Chocobop. Chocobop's incredible early on. One of my preferred ways to solve the early game is just spamming Chocobop, because it doesn't do split damage, so it ignores defense too. So it's just super strong. It's like a little mini flare on all the enemies, and it's pretty quick too, like the animation.
Oh. Well, at least we'll get rid of Gao's poison.
Yeah, with the Lagamore.
Moogle. And right there, we now just learned a new rage.
You mean a new lore?
Or yeah, new lore, because the enemy used it on us. If you saw the little text box up there. All right, let's see. What is our levels? We are level 13. We are way over leveled right now.
So one interesting thing. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so enemies are on average level 8. We are level 13. So in general, usually if you are higher level than scaling, you are more or less probably going to win your fight, win the boss fights.
Yeah, forgive me, I was a little bit behind on the tracking there, but I'm on it now. So, what I was about to say is, with the lures, you actually will learn it regardless of who cast the spell and who got hit, which is kind of different than like Final Fantasy V, where you needed your blue mage to get hit. So like if you have a rage that casts Whirlwind, for example, you can actually learn the lore through that. So that's like a good way to build up your lore command if you happen to have rage to go along with it. Same with like control. You can like use control to learn some lores, I'm pretty sure. So first boss fight, Ultros 2. Ultros 2 is, unfortunately for him, got extremely low HP scaling. So if you have high damage output and you're ahead of the scaling, you're probably just going to 1 or 2 shot him. So no problem here. Unfortunately, dead check. Lance, one of the weaker rewards as well, especially with our current party. So we're not too happy to see
it. Magic boost.
That is true. Lance will boost up all of our base statistics a bit. So even if we aren't going to use it for stabbing, we may use it for spell casting. And we can throw it at Kefka. You're right, Schwantz. Throwing spears has got to be one of the coolest looking things you can do. Alright, so now that we've got Narsh completed, and we picked up Gao, so with all this experience we've gotten, the seed's pretty much our oyster now. We can start getting into the faster checks and just taking out bosses really quick. So I'm interested to see which check Jex will prioritize here. I personally, I don't know about Jex, I'd personally be looking at that tunnel armor check, as it's a pretty quick one.
You were reading my mind.
Yeah, great minds think alike, or maybe
like
it's just, for people who've played a lot, just kind of the obvious play at this point. So why do we like this?
One of the things that I am considering as a routing choice is actually Serpent's Trench. My reasoning is, A, it is a check that is opened up by having Gao in the party. B, it dumps me off in a town where I can do a little bit of shopping and look for some throwables.
Yeah, that's true. It's always good to think about how we're going to route in these shops without it just being a time waste. And any check that takes you to a town is going to automatically be more efficient. So here we have an early Guardian. This is actually one of the scariest bosses to fight pretty much in the entire game. But especially early on, he can do AoE magic, which can just one-shot your party. So hopefully we won't see that. He can also chain together some fractional damage with an AoE attack after. Luckily he's not doing launcher, he's doing the baby missile instead. But that's all based on the element scaling we were talking about before the run began. Guardian's weak to thunder, so if we had that we'd be making use of it, but since we don't, we're just going to have to use our strongest spells and hope we can break through. He's got a massive HP pool too, being a Kefka's Tower enemy in vanilla.
Busting out the Ice 3.
But this is the type of boss where that earrings we picked up earlier are just saving us so much time just by increasing the amount of damage per ability we cast. So, imagine if you lived a little longer, you might have got 2 or 3 attacks out. One of them could have been Atomic Ray and just wiped us, so you never really know how effective those earrings truly are, but, why chance it? Oh my gosh!
Well, we cracked this seed wide open.
So, yeah, Moogle's first tournament's going to be the long-awaited and much-anticipated return of Ultima, everybody's favorite spell. So Ultima, I don't even need to go into Ultima. We all know what Ultima is. We all know what Ultima does. You press the Ultima button, and good things happen.
Spam A.
Hold A. So yeah, we're going to be learning that at a 10x rate. I imagine we'll be spreading that around. That'll just give every character so much damage output, just baseline. And yeah, there is that point that Schwantz makes. Ultima is a long spell to cast. So that is the one thing we'll have to weigh when using it. So even though Ultima is probably a solution for the rest of the seed, that might not win us the race because, you know, if somebody's got that Genji Glove Ragnarok and they're outputting 10 or like 18,000 damage, like just super quick, while you're casting slow Ultimas the whole time, while you may have had a really easy time and you know, relatively quick, it may just not be quick enough. So always be on the lookout for even better offense, even when you have this win button, if you will.
Yes, Ultima will ultimately win you the game, more or less. But if you end up with things like, say, Bolt 3 or Fire 3, it is useful to use those spells instead of Ultima because it's just a faster casting rate.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes Ultima's not even the most damage, believe it or not. There are certain bosses with extremely low M defense and a weakness, and casting that tier 3 spell might even be more damage too, or at least comparable.
I thought these guys were undead. Oops.
Sometimes those types of enemies are. I think the audio is a little desynced. Maybe I should try reloading your stream here.
Okay, I will hold.
Alright, one sec. Let's see if that's better. Go ahead and continue. I mean, you didn't have to hold. I was just going to,
okay.
You can keep playing. Sorry. I was just going to do it on my end here.
Well, now we're going to pass around Ragnarok.
It's also funny, Ragnarok's actually the Esper you learn that spell on normally in vanilla at a 1x rate.
Actually, amusingly, Ultima can end up on multiple Espers right now.
Oh yeah, it's not shuffled, it's random, isn't it?
Yeah, it's random.
So yeah, Hefe says it's actually Brain Pan that's undead. Has the face sprite.
Ah, thank you for the info, Hefe.
But yeah, if you are wondering why that's significant... Oh, by the way, we have an Esper, I should mark that, and we did another check. Sorry, I'm a bad tracker. But anyway...
Well, we have 4 characters, 1 Esper.
Yeah, I got it now. So, undead enemies can be killed immediately with a Revivify. And the reason that's significant is, 1, it's pretty fast, and 2, you could be any level and still have a way to take them out. So, like, even if you have no spells, you're level 3, the enemies are level 30, you can still get through a fight with those Revivifies just by finding undead enemies, and that can give you a way to catch up in XP. So always be on the lookout for undead enemies if you're in a bind. Okay, so we're going to arrive at Nikea here as part of the Serpent Trench check, and we're going to get Bahamut.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Bahamut's one of the few Espers that's good to just spam like the actual cast of.
With Osmos.
I think that Ultima's a little better though. And I think the animation time's about the same.
I believe... Oh, and we got... Well, we don't need it. We now have Osmos.
Yeah, Economizer could be a nice quality of life for us right now, but it is super expensive. We have to take that into consideration. It's also, you have to replace one of your earrings with it, so it's like you're actually lowering your damage.
Yep, and we found our throwables. And I want to grab a few sleeping bags. Alright, next check. Seeing that we got some decent magic going on here, we are going to take a risky check. we are going to hit the Fanatics Tower. We're at least going to take a look at it. You know, like, it's faster than Burning House. It comes with a top tier item, a dragon fight, and we now know it's an Esper. So one of the unique things about the Fanatics Tower is because it is such a long check, it will never be a dead check. It's this character right here is either going to be an Esper or you'll see the character that it's supposed to be. And the chest at the top is always going to be a high tier item. So we know it's an Esper, which we want. We're gonna safety save, and we're gonna make the climb.
Yeah, I think
in the process. Oh, and in the process, I do plan on hitting the dragon and killing it.
I think this is the perfect check to do. I mean, you have Ultima. What better spell are you gonna get for your magic command? So, you know, because we have that, we get around the restriction of this area to use magic only. I believe we've learned it on a few characters. We also have Bahamut, so we can just cast that. And you know, primarily we're magically like our characters are magically well off, let's just say, and that's how we've been getting through the seed anyway. So we can go here, maybe get some amazing items from the dragon or some good XP, and we get that guaranteed Esper. So we know, even though this might be like a 4-minute commitment, we know we're coming out with an Esper. So it may be more a better choice just for that consistency.
And on the plus side, there's a few chests along the way that aren't terribly far out.
Yeah,
Nice
5
and easy to
chests in
route.
a check location is actually pretty good.
Because there's 4 chests, 5 chests in a dragon, and 1 chest with top tier equipment guaranteed.
Yeah, so
Nice again.
Fanatics is definitely one of those like X Factor locations where like you could come here and you could just get so much nice stuff that maybe other runners won't get because they don't like this check or they don't have what they need to complete it. So that's something to keep in mind when running Worlds Collide. This thing will not survive. Because Ice Dragon's got one of the lowest HPs of all the dragons.
He is on the low side. I believe Pearl Dragon has even lower.
Yep, he does. Pearl Dragon's got like paper thin HP. Getting some.
Alright, we got equipment here.
Yeah, some of that defensive equipment. So this equipment's going to keep us late, or it's going to keep us defended later on in the seed. Earlier on in the seed, a lot of the armor you may consider just like selling it for extra money, but now that we're kind of past that early game, we're probably just going to keep it.
Pass around the Osmos.
Spoon brings up a good point. If you have Berserk, you can also get around the restriction here by berserking your physical characters. Just watch out for any bosses that are physically defensive. You also lose control of your targeting if you do that, so Welk might be a bit annoying. But it is an option you have. And a pretty good one, too.
At hood number 2.
Also, Berserk can miss your own party. It's a little annoying, but if you can get it to work.
Yes, usually if I have a physical-based character and Berserk, I will definitely abuse that coming up the tower. Unless, of course, it's Rexol sitting at the top. Oh, no!
Well, let's hope our party's not divisible by 5.
Alright, we're safe.
So, Doomgaze is one of the most threatening bosses in the game. 1, because he can wipe your party with that opening spell. But 2, because his defenses are extremely high and his HP is pretty high. Luckily, our loadout here is defense ignoring magic, so it won't be so bad for us. Plus, we have that Pearl Rod. It looks like he's thinking about breaking. which is actually the biggest source of damage you could probably possibly get onto Doomgaze. But I think these Ultimas are hitting quite hard anyway. Maybe we'll just stick to that. Maybe we'll break the Pearl Rod. So not going to be too bothersome for us, I don't think.
Now, something that I like to try and do is save Pearl Rods and Elemental Shields for final Kefka. Because sometimes, Tier 3 and Tier 4, Kefka will cast the ability Train on you, which will blind and mute the whole party. So having access to breakable rods and shields later game, if you're able to save them and don't run and can avoid using them, can actually save you time of having to removing the status effects from your characters so you can cast spells again. So saving them can be beneficial, which is what I'm attempting to do, not waste the Pearl Rod.
Yeah, there really isn't too much reason to use it. I mean, we had the solution to the fight. I mean, we had the Ultima win button, so why waste the rod when it could be more useful later?
Yep.
But
the Walker Chain.
One cool thing about this flag set is that breakable rods can appear in the shops. Which means if you wanted to stock up on an infinite, well not infinite, but like practically infinite source of damage through the item command, you could just grab like 20 or 30 rods before Kefka's Tower, and then even if you do get muted, it doesn't matter because your damage is from the item command, which you can use while muted.
And we just picked up a useful Esper. Siren. Oh!
Oh baby.
Wow.
What a generous seed. So that's good for so many reasons. First, Siren's gonna make tier 2 pretty much trivial. It's gonna mute magic, the biggest threat in that fight besides the Tiger Face. Just saving a lot of time and making it easier. But also, we got Match Power +2, so what that does is every time the character equipped with that Esper levels up, they'll gain 2 extra points of magic permanently. And magic in this game is actually quite impactful in terms of how it affects your magic damage. And so with our Ultima users, we can buff up their magic even more just through leveling them up with the Esper on. And they're just going to be hitting even higher. They might hit quad 9s after a bit, or they might hit quad 9s on multiple enemies, even when the damage is split into, split by 2, or divided by 2. So, you know, that could be a huge help for saving time later on, if we end up getting that strong with a few characters.
Is it me, or does it seem like the Cave of RNG is alive?
Yeah, so this Cave of RNG that he's talking about is Ebit's Rock. So a lot of people, they dislike Strago's checks. The Fanatics Tower has the annoying magic restriction. Burning House is just a bad check, but maybe a necessary evil sometimes. And Ebit's Cave has this RNG aspect to it. So what we have to do here is collect 23, I believe, pieces of coral.
Yes, 22 actually.
22 pieces of coral. And the amount of coral you get from each of these chests is random. Where these warp pads take you is random. And so even once we get 23 coral, or 22, sorry, we need to give it all to this chest. So even if you have it all, you have to get lucky and warp to this map. Or this location on the map, if you want to get technical about it. But yeah, it can just be a dumb source of time loss. But overall, it's still not the worst check out there. I think it's the best of Strago's checks, and should be considered doing if you can.
It is faster than Fanatics Tower.
Yeah, it is not guaranteed like it is though, so you gotta kind of weigh the pros and cons there. And there's no treasure either. So Vargas, this is a super easy boss fight. If you wanted to cheese it with Blitz, you can pummel him, and it'll end the fight early. But you will not get any XP from that, so it's preferred to just take him out through normal means, generally. As the XP could be more valuable than the time save. But here we're doing so much damage it doesn't matter. just take them out anyway. We get Magicite number 4. Yes, I think it's number 4.
So we are running out of checks, actually.
Yeah, so once it gets narrowed down like this, there's only so many places that the character can be, and we need the next character to open up the next set of checks. So what he's talking about here is that it's, you know, with only 3 checks left, one of those 3 has to be a character. So what we really need to have happen is find that character immediately, because as the check pool gets narrowed down and we've been holding off the ones that are less desirable, you know, we may end up having to actually end up doing those checks anyway. Which means even though we were holding off Burning House because it's bad, we might end up just doing it, which is looks like what we're doing now. Sorry if I didn't explain that well, but I think I got the idea across.
I was already there.
Ooh, nice skip. So, how to skip these overworld encounters? The way it works is in Final Fantasy VI, when an enemy starts moving, it will not be able to start an encounter with you. So the idea is to run past it right when it starts moving towards you, as it gives you enough time to like hit the window to run past it. If it's coming towards you, you can do it while it's moving in any other direction too, but just because you're moving away from it while it's moving away from you just gives you the most time. And that's also why the Kefka and Narsh skip works really well, is because you're moving past it while the guard's moving away from you. So yeah, if you wanted to try and practice that, just try to do it whenever the flame starts moving towards you. But you know, this is a very cramped hallway with not a lot of walkable tiles, so sometimes it's just unavoidable, or you'll be waiting so long that you might as well have taken the encounter anyway in a lot of cases. But we're in a situation right now where we just want to zoom through.
There's no EXP in here.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. But there are a lot of tiger fangs.
Alright, I don't like that setup. So one of the things with this room here, once you get here, you can reset the RNG and their movement paths by entering and exiting the room if you don't like where the flames are, so you can sneak past them. There we go. That's a good one. And yeah, we're good on magic and health.
Yeah, pretty good burning health. All things considered there.
That was actually a really good burning house. I was surprised. I got, what, 2 skips?
See, we've been talking bad about the burning house this entire time, but, you know, right there, Jex just made it look like one of the best checks ever.
And now our power levels are starting to show.
Not even dead.
Esper. Uh-oh. I think I know what... It's one of 2 checks.
So we're either going to go on a dried meat hunt, or we're going to have to go in the Phoenix Cave. Both really aren't that bad. I mean, the dried meat hunt can be an RNG nightmare, but since there's 5 dried meats in shop, I expect it won't be too hard to find. In fact, there it is.
There it is.
So, the Velt's actually one of
Phoenix
the...
Cave.
Or go ahead, sorry for interrupting.
No Phoenix Cave for me. I hate that check so
Well,
much.
we had to see what's actually at the Velt. But there's a good chance it's here. So yeah, the Velt, crazy good check, crazy good, especially if you can do it right at the start of a seed. So it's one of those checks that have a guaranteed Esper or character. It cannot be an item, so it's progression, pretty much no matter what. And you can get it pretty quick. All you have to do is do an overworld encounter. There's a lot of encounters that maybe disable it or make it a lot harder because they take so long. But if you do this check early on when you haven't actually encountered anything, all that'll be here will be a Lobo. And you could just, keep fighting that Lobo until the character appears here, the check reward. That's correct, Schwantz. The only available checks are Phoenix Cave and the Velts. And look, this game actually has a seal on the cover. I don't know if anyone noticed, but it says featuring Dante from the DMC series on it.
Hey!
There's our guy.
Let's go get the meats and feed Sabin. And the nice thing is, Sabin is going to come in at my party level. So he is also now level 28.
Yeah, one benefit to getting your characters late. You'll have higher levels on your backup characters. Could be good if you lack calmness protection or just to have an easier time in the KT lanes.
Well, we just opened up a sack full of stuff.
So yeah, Sabin's one of the most liked characters for a variety of reasons. So maybe in combat he's not the greatest. Maybe needs a good command or a lucky equipment pool to save him. But in terms of checks, he's quite generous. Lots of options available. We got the fixed encounters here with Imperial Camp. Pretty quick as well. We got the Barren Falls, which is straight up just a boss fight with a heal right before it. Super great check. We got Phantom Train, peekable, lots of treasure, some fixed encounters if you need them, and a monster in a box. A lot of his checks actually have monster in a boxes along the way. Yeah, we're just going to air anchor this Gigantos. So Gigantos, just huge XP pool, or like, I guess you should, like a huge XP dump for your party. If you can get Gigantos and take them out quick, always do it. They can be scary enemies to fight straight up, though, because they hit hard physically, so like you gotta watch out at certain levels. But here we're able to take it out no problem with instant death. I believe Humpties are also vulnerable to empty death, or instant death, sorry. But anyway, as I was saying just a moment ago with Sabin's check, the other checks are Mount Colts, which is just a pretty decent check all around, not bad, not great, and Collapsing House, another just fantastic freebie check. It gives you a lot of treasures and opportunities for monster in a box, and puts you in a town, which is also really great.
I need to put Gout back on the bottom. So one of the things, party order. If you get a preemptive attack, the first character that you get to command is on the bottom. So that is, ooh.
Wow, I love this encounter.
Yeah.
Early on especially, just revivify them both and get massive XP for free, basically.
Yeah, we're gonna just kill him.
Good thing they don't have MP, huh?
Yeah, these guys, as you said, is a wonderful early fight. Trying to save my MP, though I probably didn't need to because I'm going to be doing Barren Falls afterwards.
Yeah, so with that Gigantos we fought and these Didalos, we're probably going to be about endgame ready in terms of our levels here pretty quick. Because we still got a few more bosses to fight anyway, so we really probably aren't worried about level at all in this seed.
We definitely got plenty of money now, that's for sure. Which is part of the reason why I decided to do this check, because the Zen Thief in the Woods can be an Esper.
Was that what was the reward? I missed it.
It was an Esper.
Excellent.
Speaking of Espers.
Wow, dude. This seed is so stacked.
This is rare. Getting a very generous seed like this. Yeah, we are level 33. This is a pretty quick check, so I will definitely be doing this. And then after this, I will re-equip the Mug Charm. And then we're going to be doing the Collapsing House. And hoping... So what I'm hoping for right here, at this point of the game, is getting my last character. Ooh.
So
End-game boss.
Atma is a end-game boss, yes. However, he's really not that scary. He's got some spells that can suck, like some earth spells, but you don't usually see them that often. He's got very low magic defense, so if you have tier 3 spells, you can just tear right through him. I mean, we're just going to use Ultima here, so why not? We have it, and it does like quad 9s. But yeah, it's one of those bosses that you think when you first start playing Worlds Collide is going to be super scary, but ends up not being too bad. I mean, it can be a problem here and there, but generally not the worst.
Alright, let's see what we get for a reward. And we have
Magicite.
All right. So one of the things that I started trying to do is memorizing where the towns are in the World of Ruin versus the World of Balance maps. So I know Zen is just about around Fector.
Yeah, so the reason he does that is to avoid Doomgaze, but to be honest, I actually would prefer to encounter Doomgaze here. And when I say Doomgaze, I mean the vanilla spot where you find Doomgaze. Because that could end up just being a free Esper, but it is a good practice, a good habit to travel in World of Balance before switching to World of Ruin, as you will encounter that Search the Skies encounter way more frequently than you probably think you would. And it could be something you're not prepared for, and you may not have saved.
Oh my god, this seed.
Alright, we got a nice little free progression Zen Thief there, and it is a Magicite for cheap. Dirt cheap. And our final character, Setzer, which is going to lead straight into another free progression. This could be all we need for KT, but we will have to see. It is extremely likely that Setzer will quickly lead us to another Esper, whether through his in-check or the Search the Skies.
Well, I forgot to equip the Mod Charm. So we'll just kill him.
You know, there's a pro and a con. I mean, whenever you forget the Moogle Charm, if you can handle it, you can get some of that extra XP. Who knows, that can be the difference. You could encounter Stray Cat just on accident and have rage, you know? Game is
I was gonna be throwing.
The game is pretty wide open in that regard. Crazy things can just happen. And like, you know, you never really see everything with this randomizer. You're always learning new stuff, seeing new stuff. But yeah, we're gonna skip the treasures here. This is pretty commonly done to save time whenever you feel like, you know, this seed isn't gonna get any better for me. So like these treasure chest openings, they're just gonna take time that's unnecessary because I am strong enough. Like, what in that chest really going to improve my speed at this point? And there are arguments like, oh, you could still find an egg, you could find a Genji glove, you could find some big swords. But those are still pretty rare items. And, you know, there's a case to be made for sure, but a lot of runners just have made the choice that, on average, those chests just aren't going to save me the time. So I'm just going to skip them, because I am strong enough.
Now, we will check shops, because we do have a nice chunk of money in like Aegis Shield I would consider, but what I'm really looking for at this point of the game, if I am looking for anything, which I am, well, that
The dice,
fixed
huh?
dice, that would have been good. That would have been good early game. But
Yeah.
really, I am looking for, at this moment, elemental protection. That is the big thing that I am looking for at this moment.
Thank you for the raid, Jeremy. If you're here for education, you've come for the right place. We're doing a very informatory seed. I don't know if that's a word, but that's what the word I chose to use. So.
Informal.
Informational.
Informatory, informal. It's all the same.
All right, we
There
found
it
our
is.
final magicite. So before
what-
an hour's even passed, we're able to enter Kefka's Tower.
But before we enter Kefka's Tower, I mean, like, we don't have much in the lines of healing. We have Moogle.
So do you have a sort of checklist for your Kefka's Tower entry? Like general guidelines, or do you just kind of wing it?
I usually like to have, like, either mute or some kind of death spell to make my life a little bit easier. Today we got both. Elemental protection of some sort or another. Like, that's why I'm coming back here to fight the pugs. I want to make the attempt to get elemental protection.
Yeah, we can get up to 3 Minervas from this. If we had steel, we could get up to 6. But Minerva is probably the best body armor in the game if you can wear it, providing elemental immunity to the three primary elements and then resistances to others. Gives you bonus MP, which can be better than you think, and just great stats all around too. Good defense, gives you
There we
some
go.
magic. It's just the best.
Plus, we picked up a couple of enhancers for some magic boost.
Did you notice that force shield you had? So one thing about force shields is that the optimize actually won't equip it, but it is a pretty good shield.
Oh, I missed that I had it. Where did I pick that up?
But yeah, as you can see with the force shield, it gives 50 M block %, which isn't actually 50% because FF6 is a unique game, and but it's still a lot of % chance to evade magic attacks. And it also just gives a huge amount of magic defense too, and auto cast shell. So anything that doesn't ignore defense, that force shield's gonna just pretty much nullify, like practically. So it's a good shield to equip, even if the optimize command doesn't think so, or the optimize feature.
Everybody has... Oh, Cure 3! We're in
Well,
business.
That might help. So one thing we can do, if we need to learn some last minute spells, these dragons on the map always are a source of 50 M points, magic points. So, it's great for right before entering KT to just learn those last few spells, get some extra levels, maybe get an extra high tier item that ends up helping. Force shield greater than Aegis shield is context dependent, Jeremy. Aegis shield will be way better versus physical enemies like tier 1. Force shield will be way better against magic enemies like Magi Master. But Aegis shield's also more of a generally good shield, so it's also good for blocking magic attacks too. It's just force shield's even better at it.
So, as you can see, I'm sitting in the menu here, just waiting to select a shuriken. This is the weight trick that we were talking about. You're going to see it more in Final Kefka. We'll have to get into explaining that more, where the strategy is going to be a little more prevalent.
Yeah, weight trick's one of those things where it'll really separate the highest levels runners from some of the like mid-level runners. or mid-level runners from even lower level runners, because you essentially are controlling, manipulating ATB to get more turns and optimize your fights to save time and add safety. So somebody who's making full use of Weight Trick may be able to win a battle that somebody else couldn't, or get through a battle faster and just save time in general. And the general principle behind it. What'd you say?
What I just did was not smart.
Oh, I didn't catch it.
I forgot to bring my Moogle mules. That was a mistake on my part.
To delve a little deeper into Weight Trick, I mean, there's resources out there, but to briefly describe what you want to do with it, you want to keep a menu open when your teammates are fighting, like their animations are playing, and you don't want your menu open when the enemy is using their animations. And the reason for that is because you want your party to all get their turn before the enemy gets their turn. So you want to go 4-to-1 in attacks, basically. If you don't Weight Trick, it might be like 2 of your characters attack, then the enemy attacks, then 2 of your characters attack, and then the enemy attacks again. Weight Trick will make it to where it's like, no, all 4 of your party members attack before his next turn. Keeping the menu off, like letting ATB go while the enemy's doing their attacks, their ATB is actually frozen during that, so your party members will just gain free ATB, so it's like, why not? Just let it go for a bit. So that's the general idea, but there's a lot more to it if you want to get super in-depth with it. Yeah, Schwantz, that's a pretty good analysis for the difference between Aegis Shield and Force Shield. Aegis Shield better for calmness and physical, Force Shield better for magic.
Fortunately, we do not have any calmness protection.
Yeah, so if you don't know what calmness is, or you don't know how it works, calmness is a attack used by tier 3, the sleep monster, which is also the dude in the fight. He the dude with the ponytail. He will use calmness once his HP is 0, and what calmness does is it's like an instant death ability, but it's not blockable with your normal instant death prevention. It's actually unique because it's a physical hit. So you can't just safety bit it, but what you can do is use any method that prevents physical attacks. Golem will do that. Fenrir will do that due to image. And Phantom will do that due to vanish. Phantom's the riskiest though, because you have to time it. If you put Phantom up, he can get rid of your Phantom, like he can get rid of clear with Meteo. And not only that, it has a 100% chance to hit because of clear's mechanics. But one thing we like to do is prepare for calmness way ahead of time. So when he's talking about not having calmness protection, what he's really saying is he's worried about how tier 3 might take out a few characters and how he's going to play around that, or if he's able to proceed even if calmness takes out a few, or if what we can do to minimize the chances as much as possible.
And to expand upon that, with the calmness bit, when I said I made a big mistake entering Final Kefka here, or Kefka's Tower, I forgot the Moogle Mules. I don't have any backup characters. So these 4 characters for Final Kefka is all I have.
Yeah, so things could get hairy, especially if we see the double calmness, or if we just have an unfortunate loss of characters in other parts of the fight. But because we have that Ultima factor going for us and every character has learned it, we may be able to make do with 2 characters anyway, even in the worst case scenario where calmness kills 2. It will be a lot harder though, so we'll just have to see how it plans out. I mean, calmness is not the most accurate thing in the world. more often than not, you'll probably end up just blocking it with your normal, like, just evade. But every runner knows how dangerous it can be, and you gotta kind of respect it. If you don't respect it, even though it might work out in one race, you will come to a seed sooner or later where calmness does, in fact, just ruin your time. Yeah, Schwantz, high evade would be ideal, especially with our damage output being as high as it is. We may be able to afford a bit more evade. So Air Force is an interesting boss. It's a glass cannon. It does extremely heavy damage, but also dies extremely quickly. Usually people just target the middle section, because if you destroy both of the missile launchers, a spec will appear, and it will absorb all magic attacks like Runic. But really that's not a big deal, it's just that it wastes time. So
actually, spec appears by just killing the right side, visual right side missile launcher.
Okay, I actually didn't know that. Yeah. So Jeremy brings up the beads item. I guess Schwantz brought it up too. But he was saying beads or Zephyr Cape. So there is a huge difference between beads and Zephyr Cape. While Zephyr Cape looks super cool, because of the animation with the cape, in terms of blocking physical attacks, it's actually extremely outclassed by beads, because beads have a hidden special effect that not only do they grant the 20 evade, they have a blanket separate check to just 50% block any physical attack, similar to how Shadow's Interceptor works. So beads are so much more effective at blocking physicals, but Zephyr Cape is notable for also helping you block magic attacks too.
Yeah, sure, Raiden.
Yeah, beads really are that good at doing their job. You wouldn't expect it, but they are. Definitely could be a backup calmness protection strat, just like buy 4 of them. Now, if you can buy Mirage Vests, I'd say that's an even better plan, because Mirage Vests will reapply their image status at the beginning of each tier of the final battle. That is true. Beads were pretty useless in vanilla. Actually, I think maybe they weren't because of their special effects, but the 20 evade they gave was. I'm not 100% sure on that, though. That's true. Schwantz offense is generally prioritized over defensive options because you know, if you can defeat something before it attacks, then you don't really need defense to defend against anything. However, there are certain mechanics like counterattacks and death counters that you can't avoid, so you do need to take defense into consideration at least a little bit.
Yeah, me personally, on the defensive end of things, I don't like going around without shields. It's just a personal thing. To knock down the physical damage a little bit. Oops. A siren. And
So one thing to note about Kefka's Tower, when your party's split up like this, you really need to be able to have an answer for all 3 lanes ahead of time. In this seed, it was super easy for us because we got Ultima. But you may not always have those options available. A mistake a lot of people do make is that they'll get to Kefka's Tower and they'll have one character that's been carrying, or maybe 2. But then it's time for KT, and all of a sudden you have a party that needs to fight a boss but doesn't really have any offense. So you always have to take that into consideration before tackling the castle. Now, you could just get lucky and get a super easy boss, but it's a risk you kind of just need to weigh.
Danger.
Yeah, this is a little sus. Oh wait, no, that's just number 24. But as long as he doesn't muddle on that first turn, actually he can keep doing overflow. So
Yeah.
number 24 could overflow right before Mog casts his Ultima, and that's going to be a wipe. But other than that, this should be a fairly easy fight. But yeah, just because we had the save right before, I mean, even if we did get overflowed, we just had to take a small time loss and redo the battle. Or you can try to stagger your Ultima cast to be a little bit like right in between his turns. So, I mean, there's ways to play it. But that's one of the reasons why you won't see runners use things like Ribbon or things like that. You can, you know, with the time lost from equipping the Ribbon, you might as well have just like reset and tried again or something like that. Like, it's very rare that the Ribbon will actually save time. So like, even though it could have like prevented the threat of that muddle altogether, like here, like it just didn't matter, right? Like, and that's going to be the norm probably most of the time. But also, if you have multiple characters in the party, you can just heal the status with your other characters. If there's a place to use Ribbon, it's probably in this final battle, but whether or not it's useful over, you know,
So
damage
do you
increase.
want to go? Let's go over. So we're about to enter Final Kefka here. So we get to select our party members that start going by going down the list. Their number, their placement. We're about to get the menu real quick. But basically, their number is their spot in turn order from top to bottom. Is what's going to be. Is what it's going to be in the battle. So something to consider when you shift from tier 1 to tier 2, tier 2 to tier 3, 3 to 4. Each time you enter that new tier, your ATB bar is automatically full, and it goes to the bottom character's commands. So to try and save time, if you have like a specific ability, so in this case, I want Instant Death to be available on the bottom. So Mog has tools and Air Anchor. I know it's quick and easy to access, so I'm going to actually have Mog in the 4th slot. Everyone else is just gravy. So oh, go ahead.
If you want super advanced knowledge on this menu here, the list of characters here are actually in their index order. And the index order is actually the order that most trackers are in. So like Terra would be 0, Sabin 1, Celis 2, etc. So if you are trying to really quickly get through this menu, you can just use like the index order to hit them all. But that's super advanced.
All right, let's start this fight.
I'm actually not sure that this tracker is in index order now that I'm actually looking at it. But the one I use is. So, I'm going to go over Tier 1's mechanics while Jex is navigating this fight. So what just happened to him there is called Reverse Polarity. He has a very high chance of using that ability. It just puts everybody into the opposite row. It's not worth adjusting your rows before the fight because your character will go back to their default row at the start of each tier. So even though it'd make Tier 1, like it'd counter Reverse Polarity for Tier 1, it would just make the rest of the fight harder. The face is the #1 target here because if you let him die last, it'll actually cast Quake. And that's going to do heavy damage, especially because of how high level face is. The long arm is able to be instant death, so it is generally a huge time save to just take it out with instant death. It also prevents him from spamming vacuum wave. So, you know, that's a lot of damage removed too. Yeah. Once we get that face down and you know, it's the the long arm instant death. The short arm, all it does is normal physicals, and it can counter with normal physicals too. So it's generally pretty low threat unless your like physical defense is extremely low. So pretty well played for tier 1 there. Tier 2 is probably the trickiest tier. There's 4 targets. They each do different things. If you don't have mute or instant death, this can be probably the hardest fight in the game. If you do have them, it still can be a little bit challenging, but not as bad. The main threat is the tiger face at the bottom right. It can cast Doom Tusk and it can cast Incross, 2 extremely powerful status abilities. So we want to get him down quick, but the thing about this fight is that all these pieces of the fight have thresholds, and they're more or less dangerous depending on the threshold. Magic has the most interesting threshold where you actually want to deal a little bit of damage to him so he doesn't use Muddle. But in this fight, in this instance, since we have mute, doesn't matter. We just cast Siren, it mutes magic there on the end, and we don't have to worry about his thresholds at all or his Muddle. Tools, which is the girl in the middle, can be instant deathed. Here it looks like maybe Jex doesn't care because Ultima's just going to take it out anyway.
I did hit tools with air anchor.
Oh, okay, it's already been air anchored. I just missed that. The tiger face is weak to ice, so he's going to be casting ice on just the tiger face just to deal max damage since it is the biggest threat. Its scariest threshold is when it's low on HP though, as it's basically only going to do Doom Tusk or Incross with a small chance to do S-Cross. But it looks like we're probably going to kill it here with this Ultima. Yeah, I hear the sound.
Yep, it died.
The audio, it's important to have audio during this fight because that's the only cue you get besides the cursor to know if something's died. Tools, as soon as she attacks, will die because of air anchor. Tools actually isn't that threatening. It can do AoE magic, but like at this point of the game, you probably have enough HP to just survive it without much issue. It uses like the Magitech type abilities, is like the game considers them. Not like the same ones from MTech, but things like diffuser, missile, things like that. And yeah, so whenever hit in the front dies, he does this 10 hits. Usually not a problem if you have really low physical defense. You may need to heal up before or cast something like Phantom to prevent the damage. Not too bad. There is one big trap with this fight, and that's if you kill Magic and hit at the same time. Magic will actually take his death counter first. There's a 33% chance of him doing Quarter, and Quarter will put you down to just a fraction of your HP, like it'll put everybody in critical. And then the 10 hits will come out right after, and that's pretty much a wipe. Like, honestly, if that Quarter ends up hitting everybody. So that's like the only thing you really need to watch out for with this much offense. But since Hit's already dead, we can just take out Magic. It really could just suck if he ends up quartering, but since he's muted, he's not going to do anything to us. But we know that we've killed him if his spells actually start working again, because for some reason mute will not mute his death counters.
There he is.
Yep, see there's the dispel, it's actually working, so we know he's dead. Mute won't like wear off over time or anything like that. Okay, so Schwantz asks, if you don't have mute or instant death, what's the order that you would generally go after these parts? For me, it's Tiger, Tools, Magic, Hit.
Yeah, for me it's pretty much the same thing, unless I have really garbage elemental protection.
Alright, so tier 3 is not that complicated, but it is scary. We have the girl in the back, 9,999. HP, usually goes down quick, but is immune to every single element in the game. Not a problem for us with our Ultima and shurikens and all that. The big problem with this fight is sleep. He's got a pretty simple script. When he is above 13,000, I believe, around that much HP, he will he'll have a random chance of casting either Marathon, Condemned, or White Wind, or whatever you want to call that spell. The only one that can really kill you is Marathon, so as long as you have good high HP, you'll be fine in that phase. But the really scary thing is when he gets below 13,000 HP, where his normal turn will always be Meteor, and his counterattacks will be either Meteor, Nothing, or Train. And Train is a super hard to deal with ability because it will mute and blind everybody. So basically your physical attackers are inhibited and your magical casters are inhibited. So the general strategy is to either skip Meteor phase with high damage source. Unfortunately, we do not have such a high damage source to do over 13,000 in one turn, so we did risk a counter. Didn't matter this time though. The second way to deal with it is to just tank it. Like, just make sure you have enough HP to survive Meteors. So when you cross that threshold, you can tank one. You gotta be careful though that you don't hit the normal Meteor turn and the counter Meteor at the same time. But anyway, yeah, but doing that method you might also take a train, so you just need to have your status recovery. Calmness ended up not being a factor here for us, which is fantastic. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Our gear's pretty good all around the board for our characters. But normally you'd want to set up Golem or Fenrir sometime during that fight if you have it. Or Life 3. We are going to queue up 3 Ultimas. Okay, we're going to queue up all 4 Ultimas. So this is going to immediately get him to below his Goner threshold before the Fallen One comes out, I believe. And we're just going to wait Trick until these Ultimas finish, because we want to be able to react to his hyperdrive counter and potentially revive somebody if somebody goes down here. And we don't want to do too much damage, because if we queue up this next Ultima, he could do a second hyperdrive, or maybe we risk the Ultima counter. So good wait trick by Jex here, and now that he's in his Goner phase, we just queue up 4 more Ultimas and probably win the game.
Lock should do it.
Seven Ultimas since 63,000 HP. And that is going to be time on the Crack Pow. That is when we officially end the times. If you somehow skip the Crack Pow, it will be as soon as he disappears. But yeah, 1:23:03. Congratulations, great time, great showcase for this flags.
Yeah, thank you. GG's. I hope, definitely hope this little showcase has helped some of you out with some of the strats and some of the things that you can do in regards to this seed. This one was definitely incredibly generous. After everything is said and done, I will post this seed into the Discord, so if anybody wants to, you can definitely run this if you would like to, and try out some of the things that we did, or try and figure out your own routing and strategies in regards to this into what we did here.
Yeah, I think the main things to note about this Moogle's first tournament flag set is that the power in it is extremely high, so you're going to want to focus on your more so your routing and like you know, the early game treasure hunt and making decisions early on, because I think a lot of these seeds are going to end up being like really easy in terms of the battles. So that's kind of what I'd focus on. And yeah, so but as for what we've done here today, this presenters of Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. This is actually a new thing we're trying. This is a way to showcase a single stream, and you can do basically whatever you find fun. You can work with the moderation and admin team to organize a showcase like we've done here. So if you have any creative ideas for this format, come forward with it, ask about it in the Discord, and we can probably get something set up. And if we find it interesting, and I'm sure we'll be pretty, not very, we'll be pretty lenient on what gets shown. But yeah, just feel free to work with us on that if that's something you're interested in doing.
Yep, and somewhere down the line, we are definitely gonna end up showcasing some of the stranger flag sets. We'll mess with normalized distort, poverty seeds, where chests are empty, or chest and shops are empty, just to show you some of the things that you can do to get through the seed. I think doing the empty shops and chests somewhere down the line is with a character starting with steel is definitely something that we can end up trying. Plus abusing the Coliseum to gear up and all that fun stuff. It does create a longer speed, but it does bring out some interesting strategies in order to get through the entire seed.
Yep, with Worlds Collide, the possibilities are endless. So I'm excited to see what all we can come up with and showcase here on the Twitch, the official Twitch channel. But yeah, other than that, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to share? Or anything?
If this is your first time viewing Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, please come join our Discord. We are happy to help you further learn what's going on in regards to this game. And yeah, we got a great community for it.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you want to see more Worlds Collide content on Twitch, follow Jex, follow this stream. You don't have to follow me. My streams, it's not for everyone. But we'll provide that Worlds Collide content for you probably on an almost daily basis. This community channel gets used also on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I believe, pretty consistently for community races and races on speed gaming. Actually, I'm wrong. The speed gaming races are on Wednesday. That's on their channel. But Thursdays and Saturdays are the most commonly streamed on days for this channel. But yeah,
right.
With that, I believe we will be signing out. And I am going to find somebody to read.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, let me look for